Okay, today we're going to talk about basically graphing anything that doesn't fit into one of our normal equations. So these are any other kind of, we're going to start with lines in this section, but it could actually be anything. So anything that doesn't fit in one of our normal equations, you can use this method. This method is called the table method. Okay, and it is called the table method because you're going to make a table. Typically we make a t-table, but you can make any table you want, but you're just going to make a table of values. And the values you're going to want are x and y. So the nice thing about the table is you get to pick the x's you want. That's your choice. You get to pick these x's. You're going to put them into the equation and get a value of y's. And then from those tables, we're going to graph those points on a coordinate grid, and then we will have our line drawn. Okay, so obviously for linear you only need 2, but let's get more than 2 just to make sure that we've done them right, because we should be getting nice straight lines. And in other cases you actually may need more than 2 points. So let's come up with an example. Let's say I have y is equal to 2x plus 3 with parentheses around it. Okay, so this isn't in slope-intercept form, it's not in standard form, it's not in point-slope form, so we're pretty much out of luck with the other methods. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pick some values for x, and it doesn't really matter what you pick. I generally pick ones close to the center, just so I can see what goes on. So I'm going to pick the ones right here. So let's go with -2, 1, 0, 1, and 2, just to see what happens right around the center. So let's go with -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And again, you could pick any ones here. If these numbers have a graph that's like way off to the top, pick different numbers so that you can have a graph that makes sense, unless you want to graph it up there, and that's also fine. But you get to pick the x's anything you want. Okay, so we're going to take these and now we're going to plug them in. So wherever you see that x, we're going to put in that -2. So first off, I'm going to rewrite the rest of this. And now, where that x is, we're going to replace it with -2. See how that -2 is right where that x is? And now we have to solve it. Now, we do everything inside parentheses first, because don't forget about PEMDAS. That's parentheses, exponents, multiplied, divide together, and addition, subtraction together. Both of these left to right, whichever you see first. So we do have parentheses, so we have to do this. -2 plus 3 is, of course, 1. And then when you see a number next to a parenthesis, this is a hidden times. So what this says is 2 times 1, which is, of course, the number 2. So when x is -2, y is 2. All right, and we're going to continue to do that until we have every single one of these x's with an associated y. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that, and we're going to do it again. Okay, so again, we're going to rewrite y equals 2, parentheses, with the plus 3. In this case, instead of x being -2, we're going to pick -1, and now we're going to solve. So just like before, we do everything inside parentheses first, and we got 3 minus 1, which is 2, or -1 plus 3, which is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. So -1, we know that we're at 4. And now we're going to keep on going. So this time we're going to do 0. So erase it and do it one more time. On your paper, please don't erase it. I actually want to see some of your work, but you only have to pick just a couple points. You don't have to do all 5 of them. Okay, so we got 2 times 0 plus 3, because remember, x is now 0. 0 plus 3, of course, is 3, and 2 times 3 is 6. And let's keep going. This time we're going to go 2 times 1 plus 3, which is 2 times 4, which is 8. And if you haven't picked up the pattern, we're going to do it one more time, but the answer should be 10. So this time, instead of x being 1, we're going to make it 2. And 2 plus 3 is 5, and 5 times 2 is, of course, 10, which is what we expected because we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, so we've got to graph these points on our number line, or on our coordinate grid. So we're going to start with -2. Remember, x is left and right. Y is up and down. So -2, +2 is right here. -1, +4, 1, 2, 3, 4 would be right here, and 0 up at 6 would be there, and these last two are way up here off my grid, but I have enough points I can draw my line. So my line is going to look just like this. Okay, so the table method is simply that you're going to pick some values for x, plug it in your equation to find some values for y, and then graph those points until you have enough that you can make a nice straight line. For linear, which is what we're going to be working on, you need to have a minimum of 2 points, and I would recommend 3 to make sure that you have a straight line. That way, if you do make a mistake at one of those two, that you're not completely off. This third point serves as a check. So I would like to see you have 3 points so that you have you can graph your line and you check, because it should form a nice straight line, the 3 points you pick. All right, if you have any questions, please make sure you ask.